The day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, Toshiba Tech put a revision out there to their earnings. I'm going to jump on the Sharp Interactive board. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But folks, you know, we got Konica and Toshiba. They revised their earnings, right? They said, I did a video on that earlier this week, where they say they were going to lose $125 million for the fiscal year that ended March 31st, 2022. $125 million. There's rumors out there that that number could be as high as $150 million. So we'll see what happens when the actual financials come out. But Toshiba Tech, they're making an adjustment to theirs as well. So let's talk through this a little bit because, folks, I think there's a bigger story here. And there's a storm on the horizon that I don't believe the Document Imaging Channel is paying attention to. And that storm's going to hit the shores any day now. And I think we need to start paying attention to that storm. So without any further ado, let's jump on the Sharp Interactive board. You've seen the headline, Toshiba Tech Corporation revises earnings guidance for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2022. Let's see what they're talking about. The Retail Solutions Group within Toshiba Tech, top line number of $2 billion. And they say they're going to have an earnings of $81 million, operating profit of $81 million. The Workplace Solutions Group, $1.4 billion top line revenue, and their operating profit is going to be $7.6 million. $7.6 million. Folks, you know, I've said this before when I've talked about Toshiba Tech regarding that Workplace Solutions Group, and that's where all the print business lives. And keep in mind, this is a global number. $1.4 billion for all the equipment, the manufacturing, the supplies, the parts, and that's a global number. That's what Toshiba Tech does in the print world. They're the smallest one in the room. Everybody knows it, right? And if you took a couple of mega dealers in the United States, you could get to $1.4 billion and $7.6 million operating profit. There's dealers in the United States that have more than $7.6 million operating profit on a whole lot less revenue than $1.4 billion. So I realize that people are passionate about Toshiba and they love Toshiba and all this crazy stuff. But at the end of the day, we're in a depressed marketplace, ripe for disruption, that's declining rapidly. And we got an OEM out there producing $1.4 billion worth of revenue in the space, producing $7.6 million worth of operating profit. And this entity hasn't gone away yet. It's amazing to me. Because it really needs to get gobbled up by somebody, right? You would think. The Retail Solutions Group, you know, $2 billion. At least they're making a little more money, $81 million. But folks, you know, the bottom line with Toshiba, and I'll wrap it up on the Toshiba part of this video, but we know that Bain Capital is probably going to buy the Toshiba conglomerate. They'll make that announcement sometime in June. You know, the first thing that's going away is Toshiba Tech. It'll be very interesting to see where it goes. And I've already said it could go to Ricoh as an example because there's some dual ownership going on between Toshiba and Ricoh. But folks, there has to be something happening, right? I mean, surely Toshiba Tech does not believe they're going to grow their print business to $3 billion, do they? Well, even if they do, it's not going to be around print. It's going to be around what other stuff, right? I mean, I could see some growth maybe in the retail solutions business. But think about all the cost associated with the print business. The cost of distribution, manufacturing, managing and inventories, parts and supplies. It's a lot of cost involved in that. So even if Toshiba could hit their aspirations and do all kinds of things in these offices that have print equipment, you know, what about all these operating costs involved with the manufacturing, distributing, supplying, and the service of the print equipment? Because none of these folks are talking about how any of that's going to get unwound. None of them. I put another slide together here, and I want to share this with you. So I took Konica and Toshiba 9 months in because I don't have their year end. They're going to publish it next week. But 9 months in, if you took the print business for Konica and Toshiba globally, and that would be their digital workplace and their professional print, it's a total of $3.6 billion 9 months in, okay? And let's just say that at that run rate, they end up for the year, their fiscal year ending March 31st of 22, let's say they end up about 4.1 million total revenue. 4.1 total revenue, 4.1 billion total revenue. They're operating a loss through 9 months was 65.1 million in just those that business units, right? 65.1 million loss on revenues of 3.6 billion. They just did a revision and said total company's going to lose about 125 million. Most of that loss is going to come out of those two groups, the digital workplace and the professional print. And what's that going to be? 90 million in just those two business units loss. So we're going to put $4.1 billion worth of product into the marketplace and lose $100 million, $90 million, $95 million. We're going to put, in Toshiba's case, $1.4 billion worth of print equipment and supplies and services into the marketplace, and we're only going to make $7.6 million on $1.4 billion worth of revenue. Folks, the operating costs to run this print engine is going to kill these companies if they hit their aspirations. If Konica and Toshiba, if they could turn all this around and all of a sudden they're selling all kinds of DX stuff and they're doing IT services and they're actually making money on all this stuff, what happens with all the cost associated with the print part of that business? What happens? Well, you would think if the OEMs consolidated with each other, took best practices and made sense out of some of this stuff, well, they could save a lot of those cost dollars and grab more revenue. But obviously they don't want to do that. They'd rather just go out there and do it on their own. We're going to win. Folks, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the OEMs that are in a position to actually gobble up some of these folks that are struggling, I think they're thinking, why don't we just let them go away? Why do we need to buy up the dysfunction? Why don't we just let them go away and focus on cleaning up our own house, focus on our own energies, focus on our own synergies, and control our own cost? And when these folks go away, we'll just grab their customers. I'm thinking that's probably what's going on. Because it's just not logical that you could be doing this much business, losing that kind of money, and not being just freaked out about it. I mean, I don't care how loyal you are to the name of the company, to the people that started the company, to the company itself, you're in trouble. You're the littlest one in the room without any possible way in the world to grow a print business in a declining marketplace. You're one of the largest in the room, but you can't make any money. Folks, these two can teach a lesson. The question is, who the hell's paying attention to the lesson? Everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.